Hey guys, the Arnold Classic 2025 has just finished, and what an Arnold Classic it was. We had some big upsets, surprises, and disappointments, and I thought that it would be fun to dive into some of the biggest surprises as well as some of the biggest disappointments at the 2025 Arnold Classic. Now, before we do get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to my partner, Old School Labs. If you guys are interested in high quality supplements, you can use my code JakeUltimate or check out the link in the description below. With that all being said, if you guys do enjoy these videos, a like and sub would be awesome. And without any further ado, let's get into this video. The first surprise was in the Classic Physique division, which was Matt Grego's impressive third place finish. While he placed ahead of Logan Franklin at the Olympia, who was a surprise here as well, this time he found himself behind both Logan Franklin and the eventual winner Mike Sommerfeld. Now, despite that, Matt's showing was nothing short of phenomenal as he managed to defeat some seasoned competitors like Wesley Vissers and Michael DeBoule, who also defeated Matt at the Olympia, further proving that he belongs among the top contenders in the division. Now, Matt's structure is one of the best in Classic Physique in my opinion, with a very aesthetic flow that makes him stand out on stage. His balance, symmetry, and posing were on point, but the biggest takeaway from this performance is the sheer potential that he has. If he can continue refining his physique, particularly by adding more back thickness and fully filling out his frame, he could become a legitimate title threat in the near future. With his trajectory, Matt Grego is well on his way to establishing himself as one of the top names in the Classic Physique division. One of the biggest surprises at the 2025 Arnold Classic was Logan Franklin's incredible resurgence in the Classic Physique division. After placing 13 at the 2024 Olympia, many had written him off as a mid-tier competitor who talked a lot, but today he proved the doubters wrong with a career-best package. Logan secured a pretty shocking yet well-deserved second place behind Mike Sommerfeld, showcasing a perfect blend of newly added muscle, razor-sharp condition, and crisp details that made him stand out on stage. His structure and aesthetics were on full display, making it clear that he had really taken his physique to another level. The fact that he jumped from an overlooked Olympia placement to a top 2 finish at one of the most prestigious shows of the year speaks volumes about his work ethic and potential. While Sommerfeld ultimately would take that title, Logan's performance solidified himself as a legitimate threat in that division moving forward. The real question now, though, is how will this version, or an even improved one, stack up against the likes of Ramon Dino, or even Jose Manuel at the Olympia? If Logan continues on this trajectory, I really do think he could be knocking on the door of a major title in the near future. One of the most unexpected and inspiring performances at the 2025 Arnold Classic in the Open Division was Brandon Curry's resurgence as well. After a pretty disappointing 9th place finish at the 2024 Olympia, many fans and analysts would assume that his time as a top competitor was over, with some even suggesting that retirement was his best move. However, Curry silenced the doubters in spectacular fashion, delivering a physique that was vastly improved and earning a well-deserved 4th place finish here tonight. What made this performance so surprising, though, was not just his placement, but how convincingly he outperformed several younger athletes who were expected to surpass him with ease. Brandon brought a package that reminded fans why he was a former Mr. Olympia: full muscle bellies, dense condition, and that trademark structure that has carried him to success in the past. While some imbalances were still very much apparent, particularly in his tricep, the overall improvements in his physique were undeniable. His legs were fuller, his midsection was tight, and his signature round muscle bellies gave him a commanding presence on stage. Compared to his showing at the Olympia, this was night and day, proving that he still has plenty left in the tank. Additionally, this performance raises an interesting question about Brandon's future in the sport. If he continues refining his physique and improving these weaker areas, he might be able to make one final push towards the Olympia. Now, while his chances of reclaiming this title might be slim, this Arnold Classic showing demonstrated that he still can compete with the best of the best. Whether he decides to make another push for the Olympia or use this as a career swan song, one thing is definitely certain: Brandon Curry isn't done just yet. Without a doubt, the biggest surprise of the 2025 Arnold Classic was Derek Lunsford's jaw-dropping performance. Coming to the show, many fans and analysts had counted him out, especially after his third-place finish at the 2024 Olympia. The narrative surrounding Derek was that he had peaked in 2023, and with the rise of competitors like Samson, Dauda, as well as Hadi Chupin at that Olympia, his chances of winning a major title again seemed rather slim. But Derek shattered all expectations by delivering his best package to date, one that not only secured him the Arnold Classic title, but also solidified him as a true threat to reclaiming that Olympia crown. Now, Derek's improvements were undeniable. He looked significantly better than at the Olympia, striking the perfect balance between dry condition and impressive fullness. Every muscle group popped with detail, and his trademark shape and structure were as dominant as ever. But perhaps the most noticeable improvement came in his posing, particularly in the side shots, where he showcased much better midsection control and enhanced leg positioning. These refinements made a huge difference in how his physique was perceived on stage, making him look even more complete and polished than before. Also, and probably the biggest part of this all, was that he defeated the reigning Mr. Olympia Samson Dauda, which was a massive statement. It proved that Derek is still improving and has really not hit his ceiling yet. At just 31, I think, and now working with a new coach, Chris Aceto, his potential is through the roof. This performance made his third-place finish at the Olympia feel trivial and shut down many of the critics who had doubted his ability to win another big show. In many ways, Derek's victory at the Arnold Classic was the ultimate underdog story, one that not only reestablished his dominance, but also left fans wondering just how much better he can still get. With this momentum, the Olympia battle later this year just became a whole lot more exciting. Now, moving on to the disappointments, where there were quite a few, I want to start out with Wesley Vissers, who came into the 2025 Arnold Classic as the defending champion, but his performance fell short of expectations, resulting in a disappointing 5th-place finish in the Classic division. While he showed slight improvements from his 2024 Olympia showing, they were not enough to keep him competitive against the likes of Mike Sommerfeld, Logan Franklin, and Matt Grego. The biggest issue still remains, which is in his lower body, as he failed to bring the necessary size and condition in the hamstrings and glutes, as well as the outer quad sweep size. Compared to his winning look from last year, Wesley simply was not as sharp or as dominant, and his physique did not have that same wow factor that helped him claim the title in 2024. Although he still boasts one of the best structures in the classic physique division in terms of raw size, this performance highlighted the need for further refinement. With the division becoming increasingly competitive, he's going to need to bring a more balanced and conditioned package if he wants to contend for another major title. The talent pool is deeper than ever, as many of you know, and unless Wesley can make meaningful improvements, he may continue to slip behind the top-tier competitors in future shows. Andrew Jacked came into the 2025 Arnold Classic with massive expectations, as many believed this could be the show where he finally nailed his condition and solidified himself as a true title contender. And while he certainly looked improved from his 2024 Olympia showing, especially in the side poses and the midsection control in them, his overall presentation still lacked the crisp detail needed to truly stand out. Compared to his Texas Pro appearance, there wasn't a dramatic leap forward, and that's where the disappointment stems from. With his structure, size, and shape, as well as his genetics, Andrew has one of the most naturally gifted physiques in the sport, yet he continues to struggle with bringing that final level of sharpness and overall refinement. People have been saying for years that once he nails it, he'll become the Mr. Olympia and leave everyone in the dust. And while that statement holds some truth, his potential is undeniable, it's also starting to feel repetitive. We're now 4 years into his IFBB Pro career, and he still hasn't truly delivered that show-stopping, unbeatable version of himself on a big stage. The same issues continue to persist, making it hard to buy into the hype that he's just one perfect prep away from being the sport's next dominant force. His size and structure alone are enough to get him high placings, but at this level, that's definitely not enough to break through and start winning major titles. His failure to make the final first call-out at this Arnold only reinforces my concerns. He wasn't bad by any means, he placed well, but for someone of his caliber, good just isn't enough. Fans want to see the absolute best version of Andrew, the one that lives up to his sky-high potential. Until he figures out that conditioning aspect and refines the smaller details in his physique, he's going to remain just outside of the sport's elite, leaving everyone wondering when or if he'll ever put it together. In my opinion, the second biggest disappointment at the 2025 Arnold Classic was Carlos Thomas Jr., who came into the show with a lot of hype and self-confidence, openly stating that he believed he could challenge Derek Lunsford, if not beat him outright. While it is great to have that level of belief in yourself, his actual performance did not come close to backing up those bold claims. Instead of contending with the top guys, he found himself in the last call-out, ultimately placing ninth in what would turn out to be a major disappointment. For someone who had been hyped up so much as a potential top-tier threat, this was a harsh reality check. The biggest issue with Carlos's physique was his lack of condition and overall back development. While he was impressive with the muscle density and thickness, especially in the quads and arms, he simply was not dialed in enough to stand toe-to-toe with the best in the world. His structure still holds promise, and with better execution in future preps, he could certainly move up in the ranks. However, this showing proved that he's not quite ready to battle the sport's elite just yet. If he wants to be a true challenge to the big titles, he's going to need to diet harder, come in much sharper, and focus heavily on improving that back. While this was a tough loss, it could serve as motivation for him to refine his approach and deliver a much better version of himself in the future. For the final disappointment and the biggest one in this video, I have Samson Dauda. Now, coming into the 2025 Arnold, Samson was the undeniable favorite. As the reigning Mr. Olympia, the expectation was that he would overpower the competition with his sheer size, shape, and structure, making this a one-sided, very clear-cut victory. Many believed that his level of mass would be too much for anyone to handle, and that his improvements from the Olympia would only widen the gap between him and the rest of the field. However, the narrative was completely flipped on its head when Samson stepped on stage at prejudging and didn't bring that level of sharpness required to secure the win. While he still looked very impressive, his glutes and hamstrings were not as conditioned as they needed to be, and overall his physique lacked the crisp detail that separates a dominant champion from the rest of the pack. By the time the finals came around, though, Samson made some noticeable improvements. He looked significantly drier and more refined, closing the gap between him and Derek Lunsford. But it still was not enough, and in a shocking turn of events, the reigning Mr. Olympia was defeated at the Arnold Classic, losing to Lunsford in a major upset that really no one saw coming. Samson's sheer size and structure kept him in the fight, but Derek's combination of razor-sharp condition, fullness, and improved posing ultimately sealed the deal. This wasn't just a loss for Samson, it was a statement that he is still a vulnerable champion and that the race for the 2025 Olympia title is now wide open. What makes this upset even bigger is the implications it has for the rest of the season. The reigning Mr. Olympia losing to a competitor that he had previously beaten raises major questions about what will happen when they clash again on the sport's biggest stage. Can Samson make the necessary adjustments to reclaim his dominance, or has Derek officially overtaken him as the new frontrunner? This defeat adds an entirely new level of intrigue to the 2025 Olympia battle, making it one of the most exciting storylines in recent history. One thing is for sure though, Samson will have something to prove, and the pressure is now higher than ever. Overall, the 2025 Arnold Classic delivered some shocking upsets, breakout performances, and unexpected disappointments that have completely shaken up the bodybuilding world. With Derek Lunsford's massive win over the reigning Mr. Olympia Samson Dauda, the stage is now set for an intense battle leading into that Olympia. Some competitors proved their potential, while others showed they still have work to do. That said, I will definitely say that this season has just become a whole lot more exciting, and I definitely hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks for watching.